have you?
Sorry. It'll be quick, I promise. All right, we'll come into session for our meeting tonight. And I will ask for approval of the agenda.
Also move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Assuming no one else. All right, the minutes from October 9th, were there any edits or questions? No? All right, well then I'll move for approval of the minutes from October 9th.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Abstain. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, thank you. And, all right, now on to the mayor's report. As I want to do, there's always a story to tell about the water. One, I want to thank Gail, I'm sorry, I want to thank Barbara because she and I were on the phone, I feel like, almost all of Wednesday, but she was here long into the night and preparing to drive to Culpeper to get the parts we needed to make the repairs, but in the end that was not required, but Barbara certainly wouldn't have been able to wrap that up as quickly as we did, and your help there and supervision. So thank you for that. As I think she related in her very lengthy updates to the council while it was going on, we went in to do the repair, found that error in the way the system was corrected caused us a problem and caused the leak because there's a T there and the pipe going into it was too short. So when it was disturbed, it pulled out of the T. They then had to insert a section in the pipe to make it long enough to properly fit into the T, and then the pipe itself had been deformed slightly because it had not been put on an appropriate bed of gravel. So then getting the patch to align was what caused the extended outage. So we apologize certainly to the businesses in town that I know that impacted, and to the residents it impacted with the boil water advisory and the outage during the day. So the repair's in place, looks like that's going to be satisfactory. We are going to pause any additional work on the water system until after the holidays at this point. That issue there is going to mean that when we reapproach that, we are going to end up having to go through another, we're not going to be able to wet tap it at this point, we're going to have to put in a standard valve. It will open that spot once we get through the holiday season and find a good time to do that repair. So in the meantime, it's been gravel. Our friends from VDOT tomorrow, I think, are going to come out and cold patch it. So we'll have a nice surface there for the parade. They're also going to touch up a couple of the other places where the asphalt's been disturbed in town. So
it's pretty rough right now.
Right, yeah. They did a little more gravel in there today, but they should be out tomorrow to put a little bit of an asphalt finish on that. So VDOT was nice enough to be able to manage that for us. So I think that's it. Anything else, Barbara, on the water side right now? Okay.
How many more valves do we have to assess or replace? Or?
Well, there are 40 in the entire system.
No, 51.
Well, yeah.
And how many are we going through so far?
2.
Oh my God.
I don't want to say that.
We are not going to have to replace all of them. There are some that will be evaluated. There's some that we can very well abandon in place. The strategy at the moment is to get through. We had 4 valves or 5 valves outlined to do the rest of this fiscal year. And what we're trying to do is to come work our way in from the outside and be able to isolate different parts of town so that we have it. That's part of what the steps we were going through on Main when this problem cropped up, was that would have allowed us to start to isolate Main Street. And so we would be able to shut down parts of the system rather than having to turn off the whole system. And at the moment, we cannot do that just because of it has been our experience when we try to turn one off, we end up with bigger problems than just turning the water off. So we're trying to strategically do that, and then we'll be able to isolate parts of town and then work our way through the additional valves that we need to, or decide which ones we can abandon.
Have we rearranged the water flow so that it goes up to the tank and up through Piedmont, or is it still coming through Harris Hollow?
It's going up through Piedmont, and did they turn the valve off this week for?
No, but I'll have it turned off when they come back on Monday and Tuesday.
It's been going both ways technically, but, yeah, part of the next step is turning that off, so. Any questions about the? Okay. I think that will, I'll save any discussion about the holiday party to the holiday party, but I think that's all I've got for the mayor's report. Our esteemed treasurer is getting over jet lag, having just
Do you
returned.
want to mention, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, do you want to mention about the parade in Little Washington, or do you want to take that?
I was just going to talk about it under the holiday, part of the regular agenda. So I think at that point we're to Mr. Crowley.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items to report on tonight. One is with regard to the landscape encroachment license. You all directed that I work with the mayor to get that negotiated. I think we've worked out the last details today, so I'm going to send a final, hopefully final version to the attorneys for Rock River Commons tomorrow. Second item is with regard to the boundary line adjustment. That is moving forward at pace. The issue is now just putting together the package of all the necessary materials and getting that sent out. It will need this mayor's signature once it's finalized, and then I'll coordinate again with Rush River Commons' attorneys to get that sent out. And the third thing I wanted to report on is with regard to the road maintenance agreement on Leggett Lane. And we are still waiting for some input from Mike Brown's counsel for Drew Mitchell. So no progress in that regard.
Thank you, sir.
Ready to answer any questions?
Mr. Cox.
Unlike water, there's no real emergencies in zoning that require it to be shut down. So, with my reports in front of you, I'm going to basically say it's pretty routine and nothing out of the ordinary for the planning commission or any zoning permits have been issued over the last Planning Commission's deciding on when they'll meet because of the holidays coming up. And we do have ARB meeting in November.
Has anything been submitted for that?
I have a question. I know you had that tour, and I'm sorry I missed it. I didn't get back in time for it. I appreciate that you did that. I understand the Planning Commission was doing that as a preparation for comprehensive plan. Is there someone from the Planning Commission here? Do you know what their timetable is?
No, there's no timetable or specific agenda for that. It's sort of let's walk around town, take a look at it, and see if we have any things that pop up that need to be addressed. There were a couple things, but none of them that are nothing new and different from the prior comprehensive plan. Part of that is if we're going to begin making any updates and revisions to the zoning ordinance and updating code sections of the zoning ordinance, we want to make sure that we've got the comprehensive plan at the apex of that discussion, and we're current with anything. So that's really the purpose of places for people to walk was a discussion, and places for people to park were at the lead of the discussions. So those are nothing new, but always on the planning commission's agenda.
And it was a good group, I think, and we had some pretty good conversations. Nice to have multiple strings to draw. I'm technically on the planning commission, and I know we're looking at, I think, the next year being kind of a kickoff to see what in the comp plan we can tackle right now, because there are lots of different areas that I think the thought has been with Rush River and the courthouse and very consequential projects that are just now kind of edging along. We don't want to get too far down the road of the comp plan since it's not technically due for 4 more years without sort of assessing what is the impact of those sorts of things. So That's kind of in the new year. We're going to figure out a strategy, as I understood it, coming off our last couple meetings. So.
Speaking of the walkways that you're talking about, I don't, it's not any place else, so if I can indulge the council for 1 minute. I had some follow-up with a foundation that is interested in giving some significant funds towards the path down to the post office. The person who will help us put that in place, he's supposed to be coming out here in the next week because we're going to add a component from the school down to the post office, take that path and make it a little bit more firm. So our plan is to have that path in place by the beginning of summer.
That's correct.
And I guess, Mr. Krim, the one question I have for you is if you know if there are any, the walkway as it comes down from the school is going to have to go around the wastewater treatment facility.
Mm-hmm.
If there are any guidelines as to setbacks that a public pathway needs to be away from a wastewater plant or anything like that.
I'll look into that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Somehow, Mr. Schneider has brought something up, as I recall, at some time in the past. So if you wouldn't mind checking on that, I'd be grateful.
Sure.
Sorry.
Frank, is there any talk about a path from the center of town, down Warren Avenue to the post office? Because right now the school is really on the edge.
Right,
The
so
walk up there and the walk back.
Yeah, sorry. So no, the path from Jet Street stub, where the obelisk is, the county approved it going over their property. The foundation that I mentioned is interested in giving money for that project. That's the one that we plan to have implemented this spring. But what we're going to do is at the same time, when I talked with our consultant, the same person who's been doing the trail at Sperryville, he recommended to enhance that. So we're going to do both projects at the same time. And we have some other potential funding sources as well for that project.
Planning Commission at their work session walked from here to the post office. So it was subject of a lot of discussion as we walked.
Yeah.
Did we get them all, back alive?
I open yeah, no. We made it through.
Was there anything from the ARB?
Yeah.
And is there any applications pending for?
We have 3 applications for next Monday.
Okay.
One for a fence, one for an addition, property on Gate at the end of Gate Street, and new signs, replacement signs for the theater.
Oh,
So,
right. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else from the Planning Commission?
No.
Okay. All right. Under old business, the steps at 322 Main Street. No change there. I think the new owner is just getting settled, and we've been trying to give her a wide berth to figure out what she wants to do. And I know she's had very positive conversations with her other neighbor about maintaining her access to the side of the building. So I think we should be able to move forward once she's settled on what it is she wants to do with the property. I'll try to give her the leeway to do that if that's okay with council. All right, holiday party. I'll talk a little bit about the parade first, as the person who's been sitting on the parade committee for the council. I think many of you may have received this packet in your mail, but Barbara will send it out also as an attachment to the town email list. Things are on track for Sunday in December. And for the council, I think parade director was here, she would say she probably wants you at noon down in position, but I think if you're there by 12:30, it's probably okay. The parade will step off at 1. Back to the our original, our traditional parade route this year, as we've discussed before.
Where are we going to line up?
Or Leggett Lane.
Where, I'm sorry, where are we going to, so put the cars will be in there?
So we'll be down like a lane.
So they're sort of planning we're gonna be there this year.
Yes. And then the parade will terminate back at the drop-off folks at the driveway going up to Avon Hall. So we'll make a loop and come back down. And then lots of emphasis from the Sheriff's Department to make sure people are not slowing down and jumping out in the corner of Gay, which causes
Getting
a
more.
big problem. So we'll have folks there to help direct that. I believe the deputies will be there to direct it as well. Food and drinks will be up next to the old bank building, and then the artisans market and Santa Claus will be over at Avon Hall. So we're lining up to be a lovely Christmas in Little Washington.
I want to extend thanks to both you and to the members of the committee. I know it's a lot of work, and I appreciate everything they've done. This is a very impressive looking packet, which we got today as one of the citizens of the town. I presume you went to everybody in the town too. Very nice. Love the little reindeer in the snowflakes. But it was very well done, and I also appreciate Drew Mitchell again offering Avon Hall to the town for use for this event.
And Drew's been a big component of the planning, so it's been over the committee the whole time and helped us along. So, really a wonderful contribution to the committee. And then on to our own Christmas party, which will be the following Sunday here at Town Hall. I think the mailer or the email went out with the water bills this month. We'll send some follow-up notes just to remind people as time goes on. One, I guess, question for the council. I think last year we provided 2 hams. What did we do last year, Fred, for as far as the entrees? Is everyone okay with that?
But didn't we do a ham and shrimp?
Yes,
Okay. So, you think?
we did 2. Yeah, 2 hams is too much. I like 1 ham and shrimps enough.
Okay. I'm going to talk to the Washington planners and see if they're willing to help with decorating the town the weekend after Thanksgiving and probably do town hall at the same time.
So we're going to hold it here.
So that's the plan. Probably get town hall decorated at the same time, and then we can talk a little further about need some volunteers the day of in the morning to help get to rearrange the tables and that sort of thing. I did talk to Trinity to Elizabeth. They were willing to loan us the chairs this year, which might be a little lighter and easier to deal with. I also looking at borrowing some round tables from them so that we can maximize the use of space in here.
I would just point out, this is our last meeting before then.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of have everything in place.
Yeah.
Like, I'm quite willing to help out.
This is a wonderful lead-in to what I was about to ask you to do. You did such a wonderful job last year helping coordinate. Would you be willing to help this year?
Sure.
Okay. I think we can informally work out some of the details. I'll be here all weekend and be happy to help with the setup. And I think I already talked to Fred about helping out with the decorating of town. And,
I think he did a great job with the broom cleaning up. And Drew was in charge of the alcohol.
Oh,
Yeah.
an important.
Yeah, we do have a considerable amount of alcohol last year, so I think we're okay from that perspective. I already twisted Drew's arm, and they're happy to, Gay Street and once again happy to sponsor the soft drinks, so that.
So as coordinator, what do you want me to do?
I think probably just be tracking, and Barbara, we asked last year, right, for folks who were planning to bring, did we ask them to tell us in advance?
We did, but they usually don't.
Yeah, maybe just keep track of that and see if there's anything else we need to fill in at the last minute, but I think otherwise,
We have a to-do list, don't we? For everything to do with the planning? It seems like we do, don't we?
Well, I had something from Laura Dodd, in fact, that I used last year.
Yeah.
I can look for it.
want to dust that off and then just tell us our assignments or solicit for assignments, I think I'm happy to go along with that if my fellow members are.
Sounds good.
Any other?
What time is it on the 10th?
What time did we set?
5 o'clock.
5
o'clock. Okay. So it's, I believe it's Sunday, the 10th,
Correct.
then at 5 o'clock.
Right.
And it goes to 7 or until the,
Until we throw them out.
all the elves
Until all the
drag
elves
us away.
drift away. And then we do have a town council meeting the following day, so everyone's reminded to, take it
The
easy.
patience.
And once again, we not having Santa and children, and are we not having carols?
Well, since there is somebody in the audience, I think we could probably, and who's recently returned to town, I think we might be able to
We have
solicit some.
retired from caroling.
Oh.
See my wife.
Noted. If you had some sheet music playing around, though, I think,
I have
I think Robert has
Cheryl books in the office, yeah.
so, I mean, I think that could be a little,
I look forward to doing a little arm twisting on the angels.
okay.
But there is.
And I also happen to know that the vice mayor happens to spend some time singing himself, so we might be able to.
There is the issue about being non-denominational.
Yeah.
In fact,
Non-sectarian.
yes,
Yeah.
better word, yeah.
I can send you the carol book and you can tell me if that's okay or not. Okay.
The Puritans
It's
actually
mostly-
banned Christmas in Massachusetts
It
at
is
one point,
mostly
so,
Christmas.
you're never gonna satisfy everybody.
Right.
Jeannie, the caroling is a comprehensive collection. We never sang them all anyway, they were pretty much requests. So you could edit, and simply, whoever leads it, simply pass over the ones that have religious content. I don't think anyone objects to Here Comes Santa Claus.
Yeah,
or
that was
Frosty
the Here Comes Santa Claus.
or Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, right, yeah. In fact, a lot of them, I think, are completely acceptable to anyone.
I will say that the favorite for the years we did it was Silent Night, which is countercultural because the people who requested it are not particularly churchgoers. But it may have something to do with your youth and what you remember Christmas being when you grew up. So I don't know. But it's sure, I mean, look at the list and edit as you choose. But I would say there are at least, what, Barbara, 8, 9, 10, I mean, the ones that we think of as
I honestly don't remember.
Winter Wonderland, Silver Bells, Frosty was, Rudolph.
I'm not aware of any, I'm sad to say, I'm not aware of any children in town who would be attending, but if there are, we can.
I'm not aware of any either, and Santa is
We've
not.
got some very good ones now.
here.
So, wouldn't even notice that. No, it's, I wouldn't believe we're gonna have to go for the parade, but maybe we can get them to reprise their role.
Sounds good.
Any other questions about the party other than waiting on Gene to tell you what you're supposed to be doing?
Not at all. I look forward to hearing back from Jimmy.
Okay, that's the end of old business, I think. There was no new business for this week, so at this point I'll open it for the public forum. That's great.
Two real quick things. One, Mr. Prim mentioned getting a packet ready to go forward on the boundary line. I'm wondering, another word maybe on that, to whom, and what's the sequence that we can look forward to?
I'll lead off with what I know and you feel free to fill in. So this is just the final version of the legal document which will be submitted to the Commonwealth for approval. So there were a few minor tweaks, no substantive changes that were worked out between the lawyers of the three groups concerned. That's put together in a packet. There's a cover memo that goes on it, signed by me. That'll be submitted to the panel for review. They have
So they have a lot of time. The Commission on Local Government has the ability to extend their time, but basically we would expect to hear something within a couple of months, and 6 months at the outside, and then once we get their comments, we can either accept their proposed revisions or decline them, and then it goes to the Circuit Court for approval.
So if the report from the commission comes back to the municipality and does not go directly to the court.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, just to follow up, is it just the district court judge, or is it a 3-judge panel? Or?
Now you asked me that. I think it's just the circuit court judge.
The
Yeah.
final approval is the Supreme Court judge.
Right. Yes.
Does not depend on which article you're using in the Virginia Code.
Correct. Right.
If you are, I'm still confused, but that's probably because there's not a terrible amount of information yet. If it's a boundary line adjustment, it's one, but if it's a voluntary agreement between municipalities, it's three. It's my understanding of the code. Could be wrong. That's why you have a lawyer here. But I do think at some point, if there could be a little more maybe clarity on this process, so that when you have a public hearing, it doesn't come as, good heavens, we're just hearing about this. I've been hearing about it for 3 years. So again, in the interest of public awareness, a very short thing maybe from you, Mayor, from the council saying, here's what we anticipate, it could change. But as you actually now are taking deliberative action, there's some question about when in fact a municipality has to have a public hearing if they act to change the boundaries of town or any of those kinds of things. That's somewhere in the code. So you really haven't done it yet.
Well,
But
I
once-
would counter that too. We had very extensive public hearings about this before we entered into the final agreement that's being forwarded to the.
Yeah, but the public hearing has to be on the actual language that would change the boundary. And in this case, as I understand it again, relying on only the newspaper, it sounds like it could come with conditions, which is why it may no longer be a boundary adjustment. It may be a voluntary agreement between two municipalities. That's a rather different enterprise than what was discussed.
Nothing is in the agreement that is in draft is going to go to the Commonwealth is any different than has been discussed in public ad nauseum up to this point, including all the conditions.
Right. So what about this? What if I put together a very brief summary of the next few steps? Because I know this is not the first inquiry we've had about that.
Thank you.
My other question may be out of order, and that's fine. I've just been missing Mr. Schneider, and as somebody who sort of pays attention to the visuals, it's a 7-person council, and it seems that we are short a council member. But is it?
He was president at the last
He
council.
was. Excellent. Thank you.
Because that's unfortunate. Took him out of town tonight and got back later than he thought first, I believe.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Charlie? No. Anybody else from the public?
I was just wondering.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You said about moving on to the next phase.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're talking about, boundary adjustment to the other part of the?
Yeah, it would be to take in the second half of, there's no action on something happening on that, but it would be to take in the rest of the Rush River parcel in town.
So that a future action could be taken
Yeah, or maybe to do something there.
to do something with that property.
That has neither been proposed nor considered by us.
Okay, because it,
We're still a long ways from that.
I would say.
Okay. All right. Then I will close the public forum. There being no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.